Hello, hello, hello. This is Carib Clews. Welcome to Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. And today, as we have promised, we are going to go back into the highly popular, award-winning Consumer Resource Guide, the best book ever written, helping you know what to invest in and how to invest offshore. And today, we're going to questions 8 and 9. Okay, folks, get the guide. Get this guide. It's 110 pages. These 15 questions, we're going to do 8 and 9 now. They are what you need to know to make sure you not only don't lose on an offshore investment, but you gain and you find the right place to live. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Carter. By the way, you said we're going to cover 8 and 9, but you held up 9 and 10. But we are covering 8 and 9 today, right?
No, we are at 9 and 10. We did 8 and 9.
All right.
You know what? We've taken longer to do this offshore resource guide than Marco Polo took to get to China. And that's why we're losing track of numbers. But we actually 8, 9, 9 and 10. 9 and 10. I gotta get it
9
right.
and 10. 9 and 10. All right.
Are very, very important questions, Mike. Very important questions. And I know they're important because they're the kind of things. Number 9 in particular is the kind of thing I've had people ask me about. And number 10 is something people don't think about enough. So let's do number 9 first. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Number 9. What about the Homeowners Association? This is the question you're asking. Then you have the answer in the book, and it's a terrific answer. What about the Homeowners Association? Are the fees high enough to cover maintenance and existing and planned infrastructure? Let me say it again. Are the fees high enough? I'm emphasizing that. You know why? To cover maintenance of existing and planned infrastructure. High enough? That's what everybody out there watching right now is going. High enough? You want me to
high enough?
High enough?
So, yeah. Well, you know, Carter,
what's the story here, Mike? And it's very important, people. This is a very important answer. And I say that, Mike. Let me add it, if I may. I'm a guy who hates homeowners association fees. Okay, I'm a middle class guy. Raised in blue collar Baltimore. Somebody says to me, "Okay, you can buy this house, and then don't forget after you do your house payment, you have another homeowners fee." I say, "It ain't happening, but it should happen. It should happen sometimes." Cool. And you're going to tell us why.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's a couple things going on, right? If you live in the city, for example, you said Baltimore City, right? Or any maybe in a city or in an incorporated town, right? You pay property taxes, right? And you pay maybe there's a local sales tax or a restaurant tax. I mean, like they're in the United States, Canada, the revenue services, the IRS or the taxing authorities have a pretty good means to collect taxes, right? I mean, they're going to collect, they're going to collect whatever they collect, right? And if you know, that's a whole different discussion. But anyway, but the point is,
don't get me started.
Yeah, I won't get you started. So, but the point is that then the government uses those tax dollars to take care of the street, take care of the sidewalk, do the things that need to be done, provide security, the police department, right? Pay the electric bill to keep the street lights on, right? So if you're in a city or incorporated town, a lot of times those services are provided by the municipality and they're paid for by your tax dollars. And so when you look at how much taxes you pay, you might be paying pretty heavy taxes, right?
Yeah. But
some of those taxes come back in the form of services, garbage pickup, right? I mean, and I think we pay for that separately. We do where I am, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, but the point is that there are a lot of these services that we either pay for in taxes or we pay the municipal trash service to come do it, right? And so this is common, and the challenge overseas is two things. One, that the government agencies aren't very good at collecting taxes, and there's a lot of taxes that don't get collected. So they're always facing massive budget shortfalls. They're always strapped for cash, right? And it's not like the United States where we're out of money, let's just print a little more money. No. In most countries of the world, they really can't do that.
They don't do it.
No. Yeah. And when they do, it's a disaster, right? I mean, you just get outrageous inflation like Argentina, right? I mean, just double-digit inflation every few years. Other countries too, Zimbabwe. I have these $100 trillion Zimbabwe notes, right? That literally they were real money, $100 trillion, but it wouldn't buy you anything, right? So that's a fiscal constraint that
or the
many
United
countries
States, or the United States,
Well,
where we have 20% inflation because we have a $23 trillion national debt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on that front, we'll come off the taxes thing for a second, but the reality is that services like the maintenance of streets, sidewalks, maintaining things like street lights, paying the electric bill. Do you have a police department that patrols and keeps your neighborhood safe? I mean, those are all things that cost money. And
Yes.
so when you're overseas, we have to assume in most cases that the local city, town, whatever municipality is not going to provide those services. In some places they do, but in many rural places, resort destinations, they don't. And so if you want to have a home in a resort destination where those services are not provided by your municipality, and by the way, your taxes are correspondingly unbelievably inexpensive. It's not like U.S. property taxes. Property taxes overseas are very, very inexpensive. And so you've got to pay for those services if you want them. Now, some people might say, I don't care. I don't need my road taken care of. I don't need a street light. That's fine. Then you need to, no, but it's true. You can pick a place to live that doesn't have that. And then you can either get to your house in the rainy season or you can't, right? But that's your problem at that point. But you've made a decision on that. The thing that really is hard, I think a lot of people, and I'm going to give one example. There was a developer who was selling these beautiful 2-bedroom condos that had swimming pool. I can't remember. I think it was a 3-story building, security, maintenance, all of that. Grounds were beautiful, right? And one of the things that he pitched was that the one of the best, and I still have the advertisement. One of the best things about these condos is the HOA fee, only $350 a year. Now,
a year,
I can tell you that a year, $350 a year. What's that? Like $30 a month or something? Yeah, $30 a month. So the point was he was using this low HOA fee as a selling feature, but the reality is that you could not take care of. You probably couldn't even take care of the maintenance of the building. Right, it was a condo building, right? So it's shared maintenance. I mean, if the roof needs repaired, no sink. I mean, what about a sinking fund? What about when the roof needs replaced in 10 years, right? I mean, just the security alone, 3 security guards walking around the place at night, whatever, that's probably more than they collected on the HOA fees. The issue was this particular developer was using a very low HOA fee as a sales tool, but it was not honest. And unlike the U.S., Canada, the developing world, where these things are audited. Like before a developer can build a condo building and tell you what the HOA fee is, it's run through all kinds of financials and it's independently audited. And those numbers are real, or as real as they can be because they're a forecast, but they're pretty darn good, right? And so the challenge is that if somebody buys into this low HOA fee, because just like you, Carter, nobody wants to pay more. We all want to pay less, right, for our condo fees, right? But if that money collected is not enough to take care of the service, the maintenance, the amenities, the infrastructure, security, lighting, electric bills, all that stuff, pools, right? I mean, you just have to look at the amenities and the service and say, would this amount of money cover this? And if the answer is no, well, then somebody's pulling your leg, and they're pulling your leg pretty hard. The problem is that many people buy right up to right. It's a horrible sales strategy, and it only works overseas where there's no truth in advertising laws, or if there are, they're not enforced, right? You can put whatever you want down, right? And so the due diligence comes back on us, right? And that's the whole point of this consumer resource guide, is that we have to be responsible for our own due diligence, and we have to use our common sense. And we just have to kind of go, with $350 a year, take care of all of this stuff? And if the answer is no, then here's what you absolutely know is going to happen. When that developer sells the last condominium, puts the money in his pocket and flies back home, wherever home is, the first time that there are any cost overruns, and there will be cost overruns, they're going to be assessments, right? And now all of a sudden, instead of $350 a year, you might be paying $350 a month. Well, that's a big difference. That's a big difference,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's a really important question. 9 is really important because it requires us to kind of reverse how we think and think about, are the fees high enough? Like, will this money that's being collected cover all the expenses? And one last point, remember this: in a true HOA or CO, a condo owners association, homeowners, whatever, in a true owners association, however they label it, that money is separate and segregated. It's in a legally separate account that's owned by the owners. That's not the developer's money, right? And
Right.
so even if you pay in, quote unquote, too much, you're actually paying yourself too much. And if the owners, a year or 2 or 3 years into it, go, wow, we've got a beautiful reserve fund, so when we need to replace the roof or paint the building or whatever it is that we're going to have to do someday, we got more than enough money to cover that. Let's reduce our fees. Okay, I think everyone would be, like 2 thumbs up. Let's do that, right?
Right.
But the money belongs to the homeowners in a properly structured homeowners association, and that would absolutely be something I would be looking for before I paid my homeowners fees. Well, where's the money go? Who's in charge of it, right? Where's the money go, and who's in charge of it? Whose money is it? Because if it's the developer's money, if it's my money, I'm paying myself or paying the owners, then that's a different thing. So anyway, a couple points on that, but really, really important, Carter.
It's excellent. It's excellent. And one point, then one question. The tax thing, I think, is very important for people to understand. You live in a Central American country like Nicaragua, or where I have a couple of homes, Honduras. You own, I know in Honduras, you own a $200,000, $300,000 home. Your property taxes may be $100 a year. Okay. Mm-hmm. You live somewhere like York, Pennsylvania, and your property taxes on a home that is valued at $40,000 are $3,000 to $4,000 a year. It's obscene. Yeah. That's obscene. And that does not include, by the way, trash pickup, water, right, sewage. It includes taking your money and giving to the people down the street living on welfare. That's what I'm not going to go any further. But the taxes in the Central American countries, folks, you buy a gorgeous home at Grand Pacifica. Okay. I'm going to talk about this place later. One of Mike Cobb community there at Grand Pacifica, your property taxes are going to be minuscule. So your homeowners association fee, which takes care of keeping someplace this gorgeous. Okay. Look, all of this is less than the taxes you would pay in the U.S. to live in a damn slum, to be honest with you. I'm just telling the truth. That's where we are in the US today. So, Mike, I'm glad you made that point on the taxes. Yeah. Very important. And I know Nicaragua, where Grand Pacifica is, the taxes are minuscule.
They are. When you take your taxes and your HOA fee together, usually, it depends on what city you live in and, different things like that, right? But it's in most cases less than just the property taxes. And if you're in a homeowners association community in the United States, I can assure you that in 99% of the cases, the taxes and the HOA fees will be way, way less than the comparable taxes and HOA fees in the U.S. Oh, so incredible. Anyway, yeah.
Incredible. I think in many cases, less than the taxes, actually.
Yeah, correct.
It's in Pennsylvania, it's that obscene. And in California, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
which is why everyone's fleeing. And heading to great places like Grand Pacifica or Grand Bayman and Belize, the other Mike Cobb communities. All right, number 10. And thank you. That was a great explanation. I think it's something people can really understand. When you were talking, I got to say this. I don't know whether you ever watched the Duck Hunter show. What the heck was it called? Duck Dynasty.
No, I've heard of it, but have never watched it.
Well, this is a very Louisiana backwoods family that turned out, because their duck calls became multi-hundred millionaires. Okay. So one of the sons, Jace, buys a home in a gorgeous community, and they have HOA, right? And he's out front. He went out and shot a deer, and he has it hanging from a tree in the front yard. Yeah. They come by and say, sir, that's prohibited by the HOA fee, gutting your deer in the front yard. And he says, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I'm paying money to have other people tell me what to do? Well, sometimes you need an HOA enforcers to tell you what to do. And
Well,
I think that's one of the advantages, to be honest with you.
it's true, Carter. Look, some people don't want any HOA, and they need
Yeah.
to own a property that has none, and just and enjoy it, right? If that's what they want, that's it. But rules actually do help. Some amount of rules, I think, like anything,
Yeah.
it's an extreme, right? Somewhere in the middle or on the light side of HOA and rules is probably good. Like, if you're in a developed community and you want your roads taken care of and you want your street lights on, okay, that's important. And, and presumably you don't want somebody building a big commercial building. Like I always say, you don't want somebody building an after hours disco bar on the lot right next to your house and,
No.
and opening at 11:30 every night till 6 a.m. Right. And okay. And that's part of an HOA. A rule like that is part of an HOA. On the other hand, if somebody's grass grows a little too tall, you don't want, 5 people out front taking pictures and calling in the lawn police, right? So I think there's got to be a balance there, and it's a hard balance to strike because different people kind of feel differently about what that balance is. But some amount of rules do make sense. Too many rules don't make sense. But an HOA, I think, is an important thing, again, for many people, not everybody, but for many people overseas, it is an important thing. What I would absolutely say is that the Condo Owners Association is critical, because the only way you can maintain the building itself, right?
Yes.
If you own a condo, what you own is the inside of, you own the air inside of 4 walls, right? Or 2 walls, ceiling, and the floor, right? That's what you own, right? You don't own the roof or the outside walls or the stairwells or elevators or anything like that. And so the COA is the legal entity to maintain that physical structure inside of which your air is. So so a COA is absolutely critical. In fact, probably far more critical than an HOA or Property Owners Association, where you might have single family home sites. But anyway, yeah,
it's fantastic. All right, thank you. That number 10. What about? Always ask about. This is your advice to people. Always ask about green belts, common areas, and the future of the development. I think a lot of times we overlook that. We look at the home we want to buy and say, oh my God, it's gorgeous. This is fantastic. You look around, everything looks nice. But what's going to happen down the road? Number 10. What's going to happen down the road?
Yeah. And I touched on that with my comment about, zoning, in the sense of, rules that prohibit somebody from opening up a disco bar, midnight to 6 a.m. right next to your beautiful home, right?
Well,
that kind of, so obviously you want to look at the homeowner's documents, but you also want to look at the business plan of the developer, right? You want to see what their vision is. How does the developer see this project going forward? What kinds of things do they say are important? And does and we came out of, questions 1 through 5, which is buy what you see, right? So did the developer put in beautiful park spaces, right? Have they created these third spaces where people can get together and enjoy, maybe it's kicking a soccer ball around or throwing a Frisbee, or have they made tennis courts and a clubhouse and a golf course, right? And what kinds of designations have been made for open space to keep green space there, parks, right? Places for people to get together. And so it's about what you see, what's actually there, right? But then also what's written in, say, the business plan or the homeowner's documents that talk about what it is going to be in the future as well. By the way, a developer's business plan is soft. It can change. Usually homeowners' documents are pretty hard, right? Whatever's in there has been voted on, and it's a pretty solid document. In some cases, legally binding. In many cases, legally binding. And so understanding the difference between the developer's business plan and concepts and what an HOA documents, the HOA documents are going to be much more, firm. They may not be as descriptive of the future, but again, between those two documents, I think people can get a really good sense of what that is, because at the end of the day, you're going to want to have fun places to hang out and enjoy the company of your neighbors. Because look, when people move overseas, they are truly adventurous. We call them adventurous souls.
Yeah.
And for this type of person, getting out and having fun with your neighbors is really a big part of why you're doing it, and for most people. And so, having those public spaces in places to be able to do that are very important.
Yeah, you're building a community. Let me show an example here. This is Grand Pacifica, as you well know, because it's your development. And
Yep.
Now that business plan that you're talking about, obviously gorgeous green space there, beautiful
Yep.
homes. Would it make it clear to people we're not going to put the homes 10 feet apart? Would the developer's business plan make that clear? I mean, here's another picture, gorgeous roads and all that, and the homes are nicely spaced apart, beautifully done. Would you say on your number 10 here, ask for a copy of the developer's business plans? Would it make clear that what you're seeing here, these homes at this distance apart, or maybe your home is near the beach, they're not going to build another home between the beach and your house? Would that be clear?
Yeah, that's generally explained in a business plan. It's probably more precisely explained in a title document, right? That shows
Okay.
the different home sites, and that's okay to ask for too, right? I'd like to see a plot plan of all the home sites, right?
Excellent.
Print out the master title plan and let me just see, because then you'll know, oh, wait a minute, you didn't say there was going to be a house in front of me between here and the beach, but hey, there's a lot right here. So if somebody buys that lot and builds a giant house, my view is now gone, right?
Gone.
And so, right. So I think it's always okay. The more due diligence we do, the better off we'll be. The business plan's a great resource. The homeowner's documents are a great resource. A copy of the title plot plans for the development would be a great resource as well. Yep.
That's fantastic. And folks, all of this that Mike has told you, and you can see this stuff is vitally important. It's in the book. That's not the book.
Yep.
Hold on. What did I do with the book? Here we go. It's in the book.
There we go, Carter. I got my copy right here.
It's in that book,
Yeah.
folks. That book is free. It is free, and it is your, as it says, your resource guide. Everything Mike has talked about is in there. Send for it. You've got to have this. You've got to have it. And Mike, what happened? One last question. What if you ask for all this that you've told us and you tell us in the guide you need to check out? What if you ask for it and the developer says, well, that's really not that important, or I don't really have all that written down, but what you see here is pretty. What's the proper response?
It depends on the person, right? My personal response would be, well, thank you, that's great. Look, when you have it ready and you can send it to me, please do. Until then, I don't know that I really want to move forward with this. Right.
Beautiful.
I mean, there are lots of beautiful communities all over, Central and South America. I think we're creating some of the most beautiful and certainly some of the most affordable.
Incredible.
Right? But there are others, right? And if our property doesn't work for you and somebody else's does, that's great. But again, make the decision that you're going to be comfortable with. And if somebody can't assure you that there's nobody going to build a house in front of you, or that somebody can't open up a disco or a pig farm next door, I mean, hey, if you want to take that risk, take the risk. I mean, hey, we're all adults, and I'm a libertarian. So you make the decision that you're going to feel comfortable living with. The thing that we want to do with the Consumer Resource Guide is to help frame our thinking to get rid of all the assumptions we come from the US and Canada with, which don't hold water. They don't. And I would almost say none of them hold water, right? So get rid of all your assumptions, but then also approach with humility, because we also don't know what we don't know. We're playing on home turf, somebody else's home turf, not our home turf, somebody else's home turf. They know the rules. We don't know the rules. So we have to forget what we think we know, but we also have to understand that we don't know, the new rules. And so that humility will give us the ability to transact in a much more prudent manner. The Consumer Resource Guide gives us the tools to help us change how we think and pay attention to things that we might not otherwise pay attention to.
That's it, folks. Get it. It's free. 110 pages of what Mike's been talking about. Mike, excellent.
Yep.
I'm glad we
Yeah.
got tonight. I'm glad we got to 9 and 10 because they're very,
Five
very
to go. 5 to go.
5 to go. 5 to go. And folks, we
Yeah.
will get them to them sooner or later. Absolutely. But
Yep.
and in between the times, we'll have other great stuff. Mike, thank you. Excellent.
Thank you, Carter.
Excellent analysis, folks. I'm telling you, to me, the worst words you can hear from a developer if you buy somewhere is, "Oh, I thought you understood." Don't do that. Check out the Consumer Resource Guide. Follow Mike's advice today. Be in the know before you buy, before you invest. Let's do this thing.